October 15th, 2011. The lights dimmed at Madison Square Garden as Astral Echo finished their encore. Lead singer Mia Reeves raised her hands to the thunderous applause of 20,000 fans, her voice still resonating through the arena. "Thank you, New York. You've been incredible." At her side, guitarist Jason Chun, bassist Devin Williams, and drummer Khalil Washington joined in the final bow. The indie rock band's meteoric rise from coffee shops to sold-out arenas had culminated in this triumphant moment, the final show of their breakthrough tour. Backstage, their manager Rachel Klein waited with champagne. "You killed it." The reviews are already coming in. They're calling it historic. None of them knew just how historic it would become. 3 hours later, after post-show celebrations and interviews, the band was scheduled to board their tour bus for the short trip to their hotel. Security footage showed all 4 members entering their private dressing room at 1:17 a.m. From there, they were meant to exit through the loading dock where their bus waited. They never arrived. At 2:45 a.m., Rachel Klein called security when the band failed to appear. A search of the dressing room revealed their phones left on the table, champagne glasses half empty, and Mia's signature leather jacket draped over a chair. There were no signs of struggle, no evidence of forced entry, and most bizarrely, no possible exit except the monitored hallway where security cameras showed no one leaving. It's like they just evaporated. Detective Marcus Alvarez told his partner the following morning, reviewing the footage for the dozenth time. 4 adults can't just vanish from a locked room in America's most famous arena. The investigation consumed headlines for months. Theories ranged from elaborate publicity stunts to kidnapping conspiracies. The FBI became involved, focusing on a brief 2-minute period when a power fluctuation had disrupted the security cameras. Yet even this potential window seemed impossible. The hallway had been staffed with security personnel, who reported seeing no one. The families appeared on national television, pleading for information. Fans held vigils outside the garden. Rewards totaling over $2 million were offered. But as weeks stretched into months and months into years, Astral Echo joined the ranks of rock's greatest mysteries, alongside the legends of Robert Johnson and Jim Sullivan, musicians whose disappearances had transcended mere missing persons cases to become modern mythology. Their final album, recorded just before the tour, was released posthumously and reached triple platinum status. Music critics noted the eerily prophetic lyrics of their last single, Vanishing Point. "When the light bends around us and the world falls away, will you remember who we were, or only how we disappeared?" As the 5th anniversary passed, the case went cold. The dressing room where they vanished was permanently closed, its contents preserved behind a locked door as the investigation remained technically open but inactive. The mystery of Astral Echo faded from headlines, though never from the memories of their devoted fans. Madison Square Garden continued hosting concerts, sporting events, and entertainment spectacles, while somewhere within its labyrinthine structure, a locked room held the last known traces of 4 musicians who had stepped off the edge of the known world. If this mystery has you asking, how can a band vanish from a locked room? Help us keep cases like this alive. Hit the like button and subscribe to Gone Cold. Each week, we dive into real disappearances, cold cases, and the mysteries that refuse to be solved. Stay with us. The story isn't over yet. October 28th, 2023, Victor Mendez had worked maintenance at Madison Square Garden for 32 years. At 64, he knew every corner of the massive structure, the hidden passageways, the obsolete equipment rooms, the spaces that had been repurposed through multiple renovations. Tonight, his task was mundane, tracking down the source of persistent leak that had created water damage in a rarely used corridor on the service level. Following damp ceiling tiles, Victor made his way to a section that predated the garden's 1968 reconstruction. "Should be around here somewhere," he muttered, consulting his tablet with the building schematics. The corridor ended at a heavy metal door marked storage, authorized personnel only. According to the maintenance records, it hadn't been opened in years. Victor's master key worked, though the door resisted, its hinges protesting with a screech that echoed through the empty hallway. Inside, he found what appeared to be a storage room for obsolete equipment, soundboards, lighting rigs, and production gear from decades past. The leak was evident. Water stains streaked down the far wall, pooling near a stack of old road cases. As Victor set up his equipment to investigate the source, he noticed something unusual about one of the cases. Unlike the others covered in dust, this one appeared relatively clean, as if it had been placed there much more recently. The large black case bore a faded stencil, Astral Echo, Tour 2011. Victor froze. Everyone who worked at the garden knew about Astral Echo. Their disappearance was part of staff orientation, a cautionary tale about security protocols, and a piece of venue lore. The case shouldn't have been here. The band's equipment had been cataloged as evidence, then eventually returned to the families. This room had been searched thoroughly during the initial investigation, with gloved hands, a habit from years of maintenance work. Victor examined the case. It was locked with a combination dial, the kind used for high-value equipment transportation. He debated calling security immediately, but curiosity won out. Removing a small flashlight from his belt, he examined the case more closely. A thin line of what appeared to be soil had collected around its base, though the floor around it was clean. Victor reported his discovery once his shift ended, following proper protocols. Within hours, the NYPD cold case unit had been notified, and Detective Sophia Torres arrived with forensics team, securing the area as a potential crime scene. "You made the right call not opening it," Torres told Victor as they stood in the corridor outside the now-guarded room. "How certain are you that this case wasn't there during the original investigation?" 100%, Victor replied. "I've been here since before those kids disappeared. They searched every inch of this building, including this room. And look," he pointed to his tablet showing the maintenance logs. "This room was sealed after the investigation and hasn't been accessed with an authorized key card until tonight." Detective Torres studied the logs with a frown. Yet somehow, a road case belonging to a band that vanished 12 years ago appears in a locked room that nobody has entered. As word spread through official channels, the families of the missing musicians were notified. Specialized equipment was brought in to examine the case before opening it, including X-ray machines and explosive detection devices. The X-rays revealed objects consistent with recording equipment, what appeared to be a laptop, hard drives, and possibly notebooks or journals. Nothing obviously dangerous, but perplexing in its mundanity. How had these items appeared in a locked room? And why now, 12 years later, under controlled conditions? With representatives from the FBI present, forensic technicians prepared to open the case that had materialized like a ghost from the band's vanished past. Chapter 3. Opening the case, the road case sat on a stainless steel table in a secure room at the NYPD Forensics Lab. Cameras recorded from multiple angles as senior technician Amir Patel approached with specialized tools. "The combination lock appears functional but shows no signs of recent use," he noted for record. "We'll attempt non-destructive entry first." Using a specialized stethoscope device against the dial, Patel worked methodically through potential combinations. After several attempts, the lock yielded with a distinctive click. "That's unexpected," he murmured. "The combination was October 15th, 11. October 15th, 2011, Detective Torres said. The date they disappeared. With evidence markers in place, Patel carefully lifted the lid. Inside, nested in custom foam padding, were exactly what the X-rays had shown: a silver laptop, 2 external hard drives, and 3 leather-bound journals. Most surprising, however, was a sealed manila envelope placed on top, addressed simply, "For when you find us." Following strict protocol, each item was photographed, cataloged, and placed in evidence bags. The envelope was handled last, examined for fingerprints and DNA, before being carefully opened. Inside was a single handwritten letter, dated October 15th, 2011, to whoever finds this. If you're reading this, we've been gone for some time. This wasn't planned until moments before it happened. We don't expect to be found, at least not in the conventional sense. The journals contain everything we experienced leading up to tonight's show: the voices, the visions, the visitations. We thought it was stress, exhaustion, maybe even shared delusions from tour life. We were wrong. They've been watching us since we recorded Vanishing Point. Something in that song's frequency opened a door. They've been communicating through our dreams, through static between radio stations, through patterns and sound check feedback. After tonight's performance, they finally appeared in physical form. They've shown us what's on the other side. We've agreed to go with them, all four of us. This is not a kidnapping or a suicide note. This is a willing departure. The hard drives contain recordings we've made of their communications and our final statements. The laptop has video of our last moments in the dressing room. We're leaving these behind as evidence that what happened to us was real, not a disappearance, but a transcendence. Don't mourn us. We're not dead. We've just gone somewhere you can't follow yet. Mia Reeves. On behalf of Astral Echo, the letter was signed with all four band members' signatures. Detective Torres read it twice, her expression a mixture of disbelief and frustration. This reads like a suicide note disguised as sci-fi. Or a hoax. Either way, it doesn't explain how this case appeared in a locked room. Should we power up the laptop? Patel asked. Not yet. I want it analyzed for tampering first. And I want verification on those signatures. Within hours, handwriting experts confirmed the signatures matched known samples from the band members. The journals, when examined, contain increasingly disturbed entries dating back 6 months before the disappearance, documenting what Mia described as contact with entities from beyond our dimensional understanding. Devin's journal contained complex mathematical equations and diagrams of sound waves. Jason's had detailed drawings of humanoid figures with unsettling proportions. Khalil's featured repetitive phrases written in spiraling patterns across dozens of pages. The families were shown the contents, their reactions ranging from renewed grief to angry disbelief. This is sick, declared Khalil's father, a respected physics professor. My son was not delusional. This is either a cruel hoax or evidence they were being drugged or manipulated. Mia's mother had a different perspective. The handwriting is unmistakably hers. And these thoughts, these experiences, she called me about strange dreams 3 weeks before the concert. I told her it was just tour exhaustion. The forensics team finally cleared the laptop for examination. When powered on, it required a password. After multiple failed attempts, they tried the same combination from the lock. October 15th, 11. The screen unlocked, revealing a desktop with a single video file labeled Final Moment. Detective Torres, the forensic team, and representatives from the families gathered as the video began to play. The footage, apparently recorded from a camera hidden in the dressing room, showed all four band members sitting calmly after their performance, still in their stage clothes. Is it recording? Mia asked, looking toward the camera. Red lights on, confirmed Devin. Mia took a deep breath. If you're watching this, we're already gone. We know how this will sound, but we're of sound mind in making this choice freely. For the next 3 minutes, each band member spoke briefly about their experiences over the previous months. The strange phenomena, the messages received through their music, the growing certainty that they had somehow made contact with something beyond ordinary reality. We know what we've experienced, Jason said firmly. We know we're not crazy or drugged or brainwashed. Something has been trying to reach through to our world, and somehow our music, our specific combination of sounds, frequencies, and intentions created a gateway. As they spoke, the video quality began to deteriorate, static lines crossing the screen. A low hum became audible, rising in pitch until several people watching removed their headphones in discomfort. Then, at precisely 1:19 a.m. according to the timestamp, the dressing room door opened, though no one was visible entering. All four band members turned toward it simultaneously, their expressions transforming from tension to wonder. They're here, Mia whispered. The video distortion increased dramatically. Through the interference, the four musicians could be seen standing, moving toward something off-camera. The static grew until the images were barely discernible. In the final second before the video cut to black, what appeared to be a luminous doorway became visible. A vertical rectangle of brilliant light that seemed to bend the reality around it. The last clear image showed Mia stepping forward, hand outstretched toward the light, a smile of profound peace on her face. Then nothing but digital snow, followed by a black screen. The room remained silent for several moments after the video ended, the implications too vast and disturbing to immediately process. This has to be doctored, Detective Torres finally said. Some kind of elaborate special effect. I want independent analysis, demanded Khalil's father, from multiple experts. As the debate began over the video's authenticity, no one immediately noticed Victor Mendez, the maintenance worker who had found the case. He stood in the corner of the room, his face pale, hands trembling slightly as he stared at the now-dark screen. "Mr. Mendez?" Torres asked, finally noting his distress. "Are you all right?" "The light," he said quietly. "I've seen it before. Twice in 32 years working there. Once in 1987, once in 2003. Both times in different areas of the garden. Both times dismissed as electrical anomalies." He looked up, meeting the detective's skeptical gaze. "Both times someone went missing. A lighting technician in 87, a security guard in 03. But no one connected them because they were written off as employees who quit without notice." The room fell silent again as the implications of his statement settled over the group. Whatever had happened to Astral Echo might not have been an isolated incident, but part of a pattern stretching back decades, a pattern connected to one of the world's most famous venues, where millions had gathered to celebrate music, sports, and entertainment, unaware that occasionally, inexplicably, the building seemed to open doorways to somewhere else. Band. Members vanished after concert at Madison Square Garden. 12 years later, a janitor notices this inside a locked storage room. Chapter 4. The pattern. "Show me everything about these other disappearances," Detective Torres demanded, clearing a space on the evidence board for new information. Victor Mendez provided what details he remembered. Timothy Grayson, a lighting technician who vanished in March 1987 after a Billy Joel concert. Marcus Jenkins, a night security guard who disappeared during renovations in November 2003. Both cases were classified as voluntary departures, employees who had simply walked off the job. But the personnel files Torres obtained painted different pictures. Grayson had just received promotion. Jenkins was 2 months from retirement with a full pension. Neither had any reason to leave, Torres noted, pinning their photos beside images of Astral Echo. And now we have 3 incidents, all at Madison Square Garden, all with people vanishing without a trace. The band's journal provided more disturbing connections. 3 months before their disappearance, Mia had written about meeting an elderly stagehand who told her stories about the garden's ghosts, including a lighting technician who walked into a beam of light and never walked out. She thought it was just venue folklore, Torres told her partner. But what if this stagehand was trying to warn them? The hard drives from the case contained hundreds of audio files, rehearsals, sound checks, and private jam sessions where the band had experimented with unusual frequency combinations based on Devon's mathematical formulas. Audio engineers brought in to analyze the recordings found something extraordinary, subsonic patterns embedded within certain songs, particularly Vanishing Point, that weren't part of the standard instrumentation. "These frequencies don't match any known instruments," explained Dr. Elena Vasquez, an acoustics expert. "They appear in recordings but not in the sheet music or programming. It's as if something was responding to their playing, creating its own harmonics." Most disturbing was the video enhancement of the dressing room footage. Advanced filtering revealed shapes moving within the light doorway. Tall, slender silhouettes with proportions that seemed just slightly wrong for human beings. This could still be an elaborate hoax, Torres insisted to her increasingly convinced colleagues. A magic trick, special effects, something to revive interest in a forgotten band. But as the investigation deepened, that explanation became harder to maintain. Chapter 5. The return 2 weeks after the road case discovery, Madison Square Garden hosted a tribute concert for Astral Echo, organized by their former record label. The event featured prominent artists performing covers of the band's songs, with proceeds benefiting missing persons organizations. During the sound check, something unprecedented occurred. As the house band rehearsed Vanishing Point, every electronic system in the arena malfunctioned simultaneously. Lights flickered, sound equipment emitted piercing feedback, and the massive video screens displayed random patterns of static. Victor Mendez, now a key consultant for the investigation, was present with Detective Torres. "It's happening again," he whispered, his face pale. Just like before, Torres ordered an immediate evacuation of the technical crew, but before anyone could move, A blinding column of light appeared center stage. Security footage later showed the light persisting for exactly 47 seconds before disappearing, leaving behind a single figure crumpled on the floor. It was Devin Williams, bassist of Astral Echo, appearing exactly as he had 12 years earlier, same clothes, same age, with no signs of the passage of time. He was alive but unconscious, rushed to Bellevue Hospital under police protection. For 3 days, he remained in a coma-like state while tests showed bizarre anomalies in his brain activity and cellular structure. When Devin finally woke, his first words were, "What year is it?" Upon learning 12 years had passed, he displayed neither shock nor confusion, but something closer to resignation. "It was only a few hours for us," he explained to Torres during his initial interview. "Time moves differently there." His account strained credibility. He described being taken to a place that existed between dimensions where beings of pure energy had been studying human creativity as a force capable of bending reality. Astral Echo's music had inadvertently created a frequency that matched their communication patterns, opening a temporary doorway. "They didn't mean to separate us," Devin insisted. "Something went wrong during the return. We were supposed to come back together just minutes after we left, but the doorway collapsed." "And the others?" Torres asked. "Mia, Jason, Khalil." Devin's eyes filled with tears. "Still there. They sent me back with a message, a warning. The doorways are becoming unstable. More might open randomly. Others might return unexpectedly, or new people might be taken." Most disturbing was his final claim. Madison Square Garden was built on a convergence point, a place where the membrane between dimensions is naturally thin. It's why they can reach through there more easily, and it's not the only such location in the world. Chapter 6. The convergence Devin Williams' return created an international sensation. Medical experts confirmed his cellular age matched his age at disappearance, not accounting for 12 years of aging. His fingerprints and DNA were perfect matches to samples from 2011. By all measurable standards, he had not experienced the passage of 12 years. While some dismissed his interdimensional explanation as delusion or elaborate fraud, his accurate descriptions of events that had occurred during his absence, shared in private with investigators before being made public, defied simple explanation. 1 week after Devin's return, Victor Mendez made another discovery at Madison Square Garden. Maintenance logs from 1879 to the present day, collated and analyzed, revealed a pattern of electrical anomalies and unexplained equipment failures occurring approximately every 8 to 12 years throughout the venue's entire history. Each incident corresponded with at least one documented disappearance of staff, performers, or attendees, usually explained away as accidents, voluntary departures, or in several Prohibition-era cases, mob-related activity. "The garden isn't just a building," Devin explained when presented with this information. "It's a place where realities intersect. The original Madison Square Garden, the second version, this current structure, they were all built on the same convergence point. That's why they kept rebuilding on or near the same location. Something about that specific spot resonates." As scientists, paranormal researchers, and government agencies descended on Madison Square Garden, Devin made a public plea to reopen the venue for one final Astral Echo performance. "I need to correct the frequency," he insisted. "Create a stable doorway. Bring the others home," against the objections of many officials. But with overwhelming public support, a limited event was organized. Devin, playing alone on stage with his bass guitar and supported by an array of specialized equipment designed by acoustic engineers, would attempt to recreate the conditions from 2011. On the night of the event, 10,000 volunteers filled the arena despite safety warnings. Devin, positioned exactly where it stood during their final concert, began to play Vanishing Point. As the familiar notes filled the arena, subtle changes in the air became noticeable. Sound waves visualized on monitors showed unusual patterns forming, converging toward a central point above the stage. The lights began to flicker, not as malfunction, but in rhythm with the music. Devin played with his eyes closed, completely absorbed in performance as the air above him started to shimmer. Detective Torres, watching from backstage with Victor Mendez, felt a growing sense of dread mixed with wonder. "It's actually happening," she whispered. As Devin reached the song's climax, A vertical line of light appeared, gradually widening into a doorway similar to the one captured in the dressing room video 12 years earlier. Through the opening, 3 silhouettes became visible, recognizable even at a distance: Mia, Jason, and Khalil, appearing exactly as they had the night they vanished. Devon's playing intensified as the doorway stabilized. The crowd fell into complete silence, 20,000 eyes fixed on the impossible spectacle unfolding before them. And then, with a final chord that seemed to resonate through the very foundations of the building, the 3 missing musicians stepped through the light and onto the stage of Madison Square Garden, returning to a world that had continued 12 years without them, but which they had left just hours ago in their own experience. As the doorway began to close behind them, something else moved in the light. Taller figures with elongated limbs, their features indistinct but unmistakably not human. For a brief moment, one reached toward the closing aperture, its impossibly long fingers extending into our reality before the light collapsing on itself with a thunderclap that shook the entire arena. In the stunned silence that followed, Mia Reeves approached the microphone, looking exactly as she had the night of their disappearance. She surveyed the crowd, many openly weeping, others recorded with phones that hadn't existed when she left, all struggling to process what they had witnessed. "Hello, New York," she said softly. "It seems we have some catching up to do." Band members vanished after concert at Madison Square Garden. 12 years later, a janitor notices this inside a locked storage room. Chapter 7. The aftermath, the return of Astral Echo dominated global headlines for months. Their medical examinations confirmed what Devon had already demonstrated. None of the 4 showed any signs of aging since 2011. To them, only about 8 hours had passed. Mia, Jason, and Khalil corroborated Devon's account of being studying human creativity. "They're not malevolent," Mia explained during a carefully managed press conference. "They exist in a reality where art as we understand it doesn't exist. Our music opened a connection they've been trying to establish for centuries." Scientists remain divided on how to classify the phenomenon. Some proposed theories involving wormholes or quantum entanglement, while others suggested mass hallucination or an elaborate hoax despite mounting evidence to the contrary. Madison Square Garden was temporarily closed for comprehensive study. Ground-penetrating radar revealed unusual electromagnetic anomalies beneath the foundation, patterns that didn't match any known infrastructure or geological formation. Victor Mendez, whose discovery had changed everything, declined countless interview requests and book deals. "I just found a case," he insisted. "I'm not special." Nevertheless, he accepted a research position with the newly formed Convergence Points investigation team, using his intimate knowledge of the garden to help identify similar locations worldwide. 6 months after their return, Astral Echo released a new album titled The Space Between. Music critics noted striking differences in their sound, complex harmonics and timing signatures that seemed almost mathematically impossible to perform. The album included a warning in its liner notes: "Some frequency combinations can open doors. Be careful what you invite through." Detective Torres, whose skepticism had gradually yielded to the weight of evidence, kept one piece of information from the public record: Mia's private admission that not all the band members had wanted to return. Khalil wanted to stay, Mia had confided. He was learning things about the nature of reality that humans have never understood, but they insisted we all return together. They said we had a purpose here, to prepare humanity. Prepare us for what? Torres had asked. Mia's answer was simple but chilling. For the fact that we're not alone in the multiverse, and that the boundaries are getting thinner. As for Madison Square Garden, it eventually reopened with new protocols and monitoring equipment. Subtle architectural modifications were made to stabilize the convergence point, as Devon had advised. The band never performed there again. Instead, they played smaller venues, carefully selecting locations far from any known convergence points. Their music evolved, incorporating what they'd learned during their brief time away, creating sounds that bordered on transcendent while carefully avoiding the specific frequencies that might reopen the doorway. Occasionally, when asked if they regretted their interdimensional journey, all 4 gave the same enigmatic smile. How could we regret glimpsing the infinite? Mia would say, but some knowledge comes with responsibility. Some doors, once open, are difficult to close completely. Victor Mendez understood this better than most. On quiet nights working late shifts at the garden, he sometimes noticed subtle changes in the air, a faint shimmer in his peripheral vision, a barely perceptible hum just below the threshold of hearing. He'd develop a habit of speaking aloud during these moments, addressing whoever or whatever might be listening from the other side of reality's thin veil. "We know you're there now. We're not ready yet. Please be patient." And sometimes, just sometimes, the lights would flicker briefly in what almost felt like acknowledgement, for musicians walked into their dressing room and never came out. 12 years later, a mysterious case appears, containing recordings that suggest something unimaginable. Do you believe astral echo transcended to another reality? Or is this a case of manipulation, delusion, or something even stranger? Click like. It helps bring more eyes to these forgotten cases. And tell us in the comments, what do you think happened to astral echo that night? Your theories matter. We read every single one. At Gone Cold, we bring you real-life mysteries every week. We'll see you in the next investigation.